Puures puohkaitte, I'm Hirvaslassi Ailantaras Janne Hirvasvuopio, a Sámi environmental activist. Let's once again warmly welcome a community leader and activist, Christine Kandie. Christine, just a week ago, you were present at Lake Bogoria, which we can all see here. Lake Bogoria is a magnificently beautiful, slender soda lake with a series of geysers, boiling pools, and hot springs. The surrounding wetlands host important sacred sites, rare medicinal herbs, and pastures from the indigenous endorois people in Kenya. Now, however, this area is occupied by a tourist attraction, and the endorois are forced to fight over their land ownership and access to the area. Christine Kandie, it could be said you are one of the champions of your people.
Yeah.
You are defending the land rights of the endorois and the meaning the land holds as a community leader. In addition, you are defending the minority of minorities, such as disabled people. You're also making sure that the voices of the women of endorois are being heard. This takes a lot of courage.
Sure.
What does courage mean to you?
Thank you so much, Janne, for your question. Once more, I'm Christine Kandie. I'm a community leader in my endorois community. I also lead a community-based organization called Endorois Indigenous Women Empowerment Network. And the question you've just asked about courage defines my work. Even when I was a young child in my community, I was exposed to a lot of barriers. Barriers for a child with disability like myself. When I got my education, when I was doing my exam, there was no area to indicate that I'm a child with disability. I had to endure a lot of things, including even growing up in remote areas. And I think that one prepared me for the work I had for my community. So again, I had to fight out those barriers, systemic barriers, including even the community customs and other barriers that were prevailing at that time. I got this chance to represent my community at African Commission on Human and People's Rights. And furthermore, when I come back to my community, I had this session that I could update them on what went at African Commission. So immediately I could see women and people with disability coming forward, because whatever I was speaking to them about struggle for land rights was not speaking to their needs. And that is when I realized that there are more other things to be done for specific peoples like people with disability and women. So all over time, I could mobilize people to participate in community work. I could take forward, despite being labeled different through the media, that one could not put me down. I could always gain courage. I could always mobilize women. I had the passion to sit down with them and solve the most things that they were going through.
I'm so happy we're having this conversation about the serious issues we are facing as indigenous peoples, such as forceful removal from our lands, traditional lands, and the challenges that minorities within the minority face. You are also the executive director of the Endorois Indigenous Empowerment Network, which was established in 2016. And this network is one of the ways you fight for the endorois' rights. So could you give us one concrete example of what the network has accomplished that you are empowered right now?
Yeah, so thank you so much. Network was formed in 2016 and registered in 2019. So we are barely 4 years in operation. And what we have achieved is that we have done 4 research on electoral barriers in terms of people with disability leadership position at the country level. But every time we do research, we are focusing more on voices of people with disability and women, because those are the group that have experienced historic marginalization, and their voices most often left out in socio-economical development. Another thing that we've done is that we've mobilized around 240 people with disability coming from different regions of Kenya. We've mobilized from Baringo, from Samburu, from Laikipia, from Kajiado, from Narok, and from Nakuru counties. All of them are coming out. We are building a caucus for people with disability, because most of them people with disability have historic or have this notion of their self-esteem are so low. These are the people who have been left out until they reject themselves. So as an organization, we are giving them a platform, a safe space, whereby we can exchange ideas, we encourage one another, we cheer ourselves, we cheer our achievement, and that is something that we've done as an organization. Apart from that, we've also mobilized women along land rights. We know that land rights spaces are only controlled by male gender. As an organization, we've been able to mobilize our own women to take leadership role, because we realize that women are having a lot of barriers when they access land rights. So currently we've documented a biocultural protocol with support from Siemenpuu Foundation. There was an existing biocultural protocol, but what we have done is to more bring the lenses of women and people with disabilities. We have also built a very strong organization by looking at our internal capacity in terms of procedures and even policies that needs very adaptive. Yeah.
Thank you. It really tells so much about how
And
much...
finally, we've done something on land rights. We've planted more than 2,000 trees on issues of environment. So that is something that we did last year on environmental restoration, and again building the leadership of women and people with disabilities on such areas.
Wow, that's wonderful. Thank you. It really tells so much about the agency that you have in your work as a leader. And today we're discussing a little bit about courage, and in many ways, the network embodies your story, where a disabled girl grew up to become a social activist defending the rights of minorities and land rights. But how does being a minority within a minority affect the way you see courage?
Yeah, being a minority within a minority means you start from a footage not equal with anyone, and you have to overcome. Your journey will look a little bit longer with a lot of adults. You come from an environment that is not accessible to health facilities, education, including even other government incentives, including even free education. And again, coming from that area means that you have also the custom being held by our elders. So a woman has a space and a person with disability has a space. So coming from a minority means a lot to somebody like myself. You have a journey full of adults, and you have, in every adult, you need to break the barrier. You need to prove yourself. You need to, for people to accept you, you need to have certain qualities beyond. Because as you come out at first, you've been labeled. Like when they see you at the city of Nairobi, what comes in their mind is maybe you are not articulative, you cannot bring forward, you cannot speak in the language that maybe they could expect you. So there are so many, the way is not as good as we might think. It's full of challenges and so many other things. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. That is truly inspiring. Let's return where the Endorois people live. As Sámi people, we have a strong connection to the land, like you do. We place ourselves and our stories in connection to the land, and without the land, we lose part of who we are as a people. And I believe that we have this in common. A wildlife sanctuary was built in Lake Bogoria in 1973, and you have been displaced from your lands by the Kenyan government twice. You have also complained to the African Commission on Human and People's Rights, and the decision was on your favor. However, the Kenyan government has not recognized your rights, and in this video, we see you demonstrating this year the fact that this decision was not implemented. So let's take a look.
Leo na sana kuambia serikali ni kwa nini hawajaweza kuimplement ile issues tulikuwa tumekubaliana na wao kwa African Commission na pia kwa African Commission.
Inaction is injustice. That is something that the Sámi people could say to the Nordic governments today. Could you give us a brief overview on what is the situation now in terms of the land rights?
Yeah, Endorois community had a long struggle for land rights that culminated way back in 1973-74 because the government saw it area reserved for tourism reasons. So we were forcefully ejected from the area despite us being indigenous people, having a very, the land itself was good for our livelihoods, including even our culture, our spiritual side, and many other special attachments from the land. We were disrupted, our life got disrupted, and what agitated us to fight back is when we realized that the area got a very good opportunity for employment. So, and every time we want to access the area again to collect salty lick for our animals, is that we were again denied. So we were wondering how now, and this was our area. Again, when we wanted to access the land for spiritual reasons, again we were denied. We started mobilizing ourselves. This is something that our fathers started. They mobilized themselves. Some of them were arrested, and we had this support from Minority Rights Group International, which mobilized us to take our issues to African Commission. We had a determination way back in 2010, whereby the government of Kenya was required to pay us damages and even restitute this land back again to us. So the situation at the moment is that we have a standstill issues from the African Commission that government of Kenya has never honored or even implement. This year, on 6th, the video that you've just seen was happening on 6th of February, whereby ourselves, that is Endorois community, and Okie were putting together a solidarity march to the Office of Attorney General to ask for rightful share of our community as part of determination issued in African Commission. So government of Kenya had put forward a commission that was able to lead in the implementation process. But again, that commission was not funded, so they could not issue a report. So we've had this 10 years from then without any conversation. The commission, the task force that was formed was in 2014. So 2014 up to now is 10 years. They are not saying anything. every time we go to African Commission, they keep on telling us that we will have, we can have this homegrown solution within ourselves, whereby every time African Commission happens in regional mechanism, either in Gambia or Tanzania. Last time it happened in Tanzania, and we met with them, and they told us, no, we cannot say anything here. We can go back to Kenya, and maybe we can speak about it. So when we are in Kenya, we don't get any update, or they give us a room for negotiation. So that is the situation. We are frustrated. The government has not honored those decisions from African Commission. And currently, we are equally impacted by climate change. This is now a new situation whereby part of the lake that you've just seen has swollen in size, up to almost 30 to 50 kilometers in size. That was not before. We've never witnessed this. And this, again, has a consequence to our livelihood. The health of the soil, the land, the storage of the ecosystem has been destroyed. And the resilience of the ecosystems has high connectivity to our resilience as the people from the area. So that is the current situation of Endorois community. We've had this issue. It has never been implemented. The song that you've heard being sung is the song that our organization, Endorois Indigenous Women Empowerment Network, was singing. And it gives a lot of hope. It speaks about the struggle for land rights, that we've been given the key. The key itself is the decision from the African Commission, and we are about to open the door. So it's very hopeful song.
Yes, thank you. We have very similar struggle with the Sámi people in terms of climate change, biodiversity loss, and everything that you said really resonates with me. As an indigenous Sámi leader myself, we have had similar struggles as the Endorois people, and we can here see an older example from the village that I originate from. The Sámi people from Vuoksi village area were forcibly removed from our lands by the Finnish state in order to build a huge reservoir for water power in the late 60s. This is still a bleeding wound on our people, and it takes a lot of courage to fight against still ongoing colonial structures like you do and we do.
Yeah.
So, is there how does this forceful removal from the land affect your connection to your own traditions? If you could have a very brief overview about your traditions and the connection to the land.
Yeah, it affects our identity as a community. It affects our culture, the language. Like, for example, I've spoken about the issues of access to spiritualism. Spiritualism in our communities, we have this collective share of a space and connectiveness, and, it brings a lot of fulfillment. So when we were denied this one, it means that even collective voice for our community is compromised. Shared custom, again, is compromised. Our struggle for land rights has largely affected us. I was sharing last week that, including even Endorois young people, they could not add this because most of when they were growing up, they were exposed to a lot of violence. We didn't have a common ground whereby we could come together and share our, values. Our mothers, that area again, we have a lot of intermarriages. So that ones get into, being an Endorois is something that we struggle a lot as a community. And again, the issue of, those intermarriages, climate change, and maybe this long term, because struggle for land rights in my community is intergenerational. So those people who started are no longer there. And we have now another generation picking it up. We have 3 generations. So the issues of climate change and that denied access, as we had this energy from our community mobilized and dedicated for struggle for land rights and not development. So when you go back to my community, you realize that services are not, like any other place. We also experience that, marginalization in terms of services offered by the government. And we've been labeled like we look like we are not, we are aggressors. They look us differently. We've been labeled, we've been attached, and every time we try to ask for the spaces, they say, but you had this issue in African Commission. Maybe African Commission could give you a solution, And the challenge about having struggled for land rights and again being asked to negotiate, sit on the table again with someone who had violated your rights is, a little bit not workable. So all this as consequential, especially when we want to access and connection to spiritualism and our areas that is very central to us, has been compromised. Yeah.
Thank you. That's something that also resonates with me. You talked about intergenerational struggle. It is very much the same with us. Generation after generation, fighting for the same things with the same state colonial structures. It is a struggle, but I believe that we are closing in at the end of the program, and I would like to look for ways forward. So your example shows the importance of community and the power you can draw from this, the agency that you have. So I would like to ask you one final question, because we're talking about courage here today. How can you support others to be courageous so they can too defend their rights?
So thank you so much. How I support others is through spaces like this. I speak about the struggle and how I have supported my community, and this in itself will put courageous or even inspire someone to walk beyond. If I could do it myself, why not you? So I normally challenge people in spaces like this. That is one. Secondly, we organize, mentorship within my community, whereby we have different generations sitting like elders and younger people. And we do this intentionally because we are preparing the young people for the hard work ahead of them in terms of, apart from being a young person and facing current challenges like any other young person, they have added responsibility, like the non-implemented endorois case. So that is the level that I prepare them and I inspire them to, I provide that platform, and then young people, older people, could narrate their struggle and could have a ground of shared values. Our case could not go that far if we could not have the blessings and values that were developed by our elders. So how do we connect those again with the younger people so that the case and the struggle for endorois community goes beyond the current generation? So another thing that we are trying to do is, as much as we are encouraging them and having that mentorship program, we also do write reports, document our struggle. So this in itself, we do cultural, we provide room for cultural festivals, be it food, be it celebration of culture, be it celebration of the ruling from the African Commission. So that one in itself is, I'm trying to expose them to the courageous leadership spaces that I was able to take before them. Thank you.
Wow, I'm beyond words here, but I'm very grateful. I'm extremely grateful that we could have this discussion with you today. Thank you, Christine Kandie. Your story is a powerful testimony for the rights of the indigenous women and indigenous peoples and the disabled people all over the world. Let's give a warm hand to Christine.
Thank you.